Happy New Year, welcome back. I hope you had a lovely Christmas and a good start into the new year. I thought I would start off the year with this sit-down video. Also, if you see me looking down, it's because I have my laptop in front of me. So I stumbled upon this quote on Pinterest like 2 weeks ago when I was making my vision board for this year. Life isn't about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. And it really got me thinking about the concept of quote-unquote finding who you are. I think this idea is essentially brought up in your adolescence when you have this feeling of not really knowing who you are, and people tell you that it's normal because ultimately you will find that out the older you get. But is that really true? Is it something you simply just find? If someone asks you who you are, no matter what your age is, it's kind of hard to give a proper answer to that question. Take me for example. I'm 25 right now, turning 26 this year. And if I were to give an answer to that question, I would probably just end up listing my habits, personality traits, my interests, just things that I'm passionate about. But if you really think about it, that's what the concept of finding who you are really revolves around, isn't it? It's about finding your interests, about learning how to cope with experiences and growth. It's about character development. And I think this perfectly aligns with this quote, which underlines that who you are is not necessarily something you need to find, but more so need to create. I wanted to start off this video with this quote because I think it really resonates with my New Year's resolutions. So I've created a little diagram that basically shows my three main, areas of my goals for this year, and they all kind of immerse into one another. So we have live more offline, create myself, which correlates with the quote I was just talking about, and just in general, create more and consume less. So for my New Year's resolutions, I'm usually horrible at actually sticking to my goals. For example, last year I don't even think I set myself any New Year's resolutions because I'm just terrible at it. I was like, you know what, I just figure it out as I go. But this year I really wanted to write it down and take it more seriously, especially because I guess the main goal, the main theme here of my resolutions is live more offline and more so physical media. I saw this video recently which I really liked, where this girl basically explains how she lived 2025 more analog, and she discussed different ways to implement analog, basically physical media habits into your life. I'm gonna link it down below because it really helped me set up my goals for this year. So we're gonna get into the different points that I wrote down. I'm gonna give you some examples, what I think about them. I wrote down 5 points that are mainly based on this analog lifestyle idea, I guess, while also serving me to create myself and create more in general instead of just consuming. And if I do consume, I want to be more aware. I want to be more strategic about what I consume and selective. The first one being physical documentation. What do I mean by that? I just mean either film more with my camcorder, like I'm doing right now. Use my cameras. I have a film camera that I barely use, honestly, and I also have Polaroid camera. So I definitely want to be using those two more instead of just using my phone. Because although I do, like any other person, like to take pictures on my phone, you just end up having tons and tons of photos that you don't really look at after you've taken them, so it just sits in your gallery and collects dust, which is why I really want to use my camera more. And if I do use my phone to take pictures, because evidently I will no matter what, I want to actually do something with those pictures. I want to get them printed. I think it's such a shame that photography nowadays is kind of more accessible because, again, you have your phone, but you don't really get much use of the photos that you take. Whereas, for example, I don't know, a decade ago or 2 decades ago, people would actually take photos with their camera and you had physical evidence of a memory. And now it's just digital, so it's kind of more difficult to grasp. And also, in addition, I wrote down journaling. I'm horrible at journaling, honestly. Sometimes I don't write in my journal for months, and then I have to catch up. Like, I have to catch up my diary, and it's like so much, and I don't know, like, probably half of it I already forgot. And then I just feel like super lazy to even write an entry in my diary, because I'm like, there's too much that happened. Like, I don't want to have to write 3 pages, you know? So I set myself the goal to at least journal once a week. Even if I don't have like that much to say, because normally my life is pretty boring. Like, I don't have that many things that I could write down, like interesting things to write down. Honestly, that's what life is made of. Boring moments as well. So you might as well just write about them. Like, I went to the grocery store and they had the exact product that I wanted that had been out of stock for like a week or 2. You know, it matters. It might seem like it doesn't matter, but future you will read that and will think, oh wow, my little problems that I had on a daily basis. Crazy. Okay, on to my next point. Again, still going on with that analog lifestyle concept. I wrote down analog hobbies. So I feel like I have a lot of hobbies, and at the same time, I don't have any hobbies. If that makes sense. If you know what I mean. Because I have a lot of interests, but then I don't really follow through. I wrote down new hobbies that I wrote down. We have Sudoku. I don't know what got into me. I went to Switzerland for the holidays, and my dad had like this little book, like this little notebook with Sudokus and like crossword puzzles in German, and I loved to do that as a child. And I think it's just a way to train your brain and keep it active up there. I think the crossword puzzles would be great to have in French. I feel like that way I would maybe improve my vocabulary. I don't know. I don't really know where I can find that. Maybe at a kiosk. I don't know, haven't looked yet. Another hobby that I wrote down is something that I've already started. My sister gave me a little book nook set that I have started, but it takes quite a while to actually finish it. Another thing that I really want to tackle is reading. Like, I mean, I do read, but especially for school mostly. But this year I set myself the goal of reading 15 books, which might not seem like a lot, and probably for the average person it's not. But again, I'm a slow reader, so I feel like 15 could be attainable. We'll see. Also wrote down make music, like take my music more seriously. A new hobby that honestly just happened very randomly to me is reading fanfic. And let me tell you, if you thought that I was a nerd before and annoying, this year I will be even more annoying because I started reading fanfic. I swear, this honestly just happened because I was trying to process my grief for Stranger Things 5. I literally told myself before starting this video that I wasn't going to bring up Stranger Things, and here I am. Here I am. I was so devastated with the ending. Like, it was very emotional, but also there were things that I liked because Stranger Things, but there were also a lot of things that I find a little bit confusing and disappointing, and after watching like a ton of videos and TikTok edits and everything, I realized, yeah, you're right, there are a lot of plot holes, yes. Also, I watched too many Byler edits on TikTok that naturally started to convince me that Byler was a thing. And the more, like with every volume that came out, I realized, you know what, you're right, like it is a thing. And then it just didn't happen. And to cure my bipolar heart, I started reading fanfic, and that's how we got there. Also, I'm literally haunted by Stranger Things and bipolar now. When I got back to Paris and I used the metro, Stranger Things posters everywhere. You can't get away. I can't get away from it. I see yellow and blue everywhere. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, moving on. Okay, another important point on my list is expand my cultural knowledge, and more so trying to search inspiration in physical sources. And what I mean by that is like read essays, read newspaper articles. I don't know. I recently got this huge, I got this huge cinema book for like, I think it was €2, if I'm not mistaken. It is in French, sadly, but I thought this would maybe help me expand my French cinema vocabulary. And yeah, I thought it would be like a great way, again, to expand my knowledge, my cultural knowledge, to, just read a page every morning. We also have, I got this last year. I love cinema magazines, like cinema related magazines, and the French really have great examples of that. We have Rocky Rama. There's also La Septième Obsession, which I love. Like, I follow them on Instagram. Don't have a copy yet of any of their other magazines, but it's just a great way to, again, expand your knowledge and for me to kind of improve my French, I suppose. And the same niche would be just in general learn more about film. I had this film book on my TBR for the longest time because I had seen a video like a few years ago on cinema books that are actually worth it to read, to learn more about the industry and just film in general. And I went to the bookstore recently, like a few days ago, and I found it. I literally found the book. I was flabbergasted when I saw this. I'm like, oh, no fucking way. No fucking way. I will be reading this. Moving on. My fourth point, this goes hand in hand with everything that I've been saying. Use physical media more. I have seen more and more people talk about physical media and going back to, I guess, the good old days. Feels like physical media is more and more becoming a trend, especially this upcoming year. And to that I want to say I've been collecting DVDs for maybe 6 or 7 years, so to me it's just another day. It doesn't feel like a trend. Like, I've been around, The same goes for my CD collection. I've been collecting CDs for the longest time. But saying that, knowing that I have a DVD collection and a CD collection, that doesn't automatically mean that I'm the best at actually using it. Which is why I want to focus more on actually using my physical media, which then again, with my DVDs, allows me to watch more movies. And talking about the physical media trends, I read this Substack essay. Again, another great platform to read essays and just expand your knowledge on random topics. And I read this essay titled 2026 is the year of physical media. I wanted to read you a few sentences that I thought were really interesting and basically sums up why we're so attracted to physical media all of a sudden. Again, to me that's not a new thing because I've been obsessed with old stuff forever, but yeah. Okay, so she wrote, "We own nothing anymore. Your playlist rented from Spotify, your streaming services on subscription-based models, which are somehow becoming more and more unaffordable each year. Want to access your photos on the cloud? There's a paywall for that. Forgot to pay? Say bye-bye to your 40,000 images and screenshots you promised to yourself you'd delete last week. Even our skincare routines come in monthly subscription boxes, and all of these add up if you forget to cancel. We are paying forever for temporary access to everything. The solution? Physical media." And she's right, because again, I feel like with physical media, the reason behind me having a DVD collection is mostly because I want to own something. I want to be able to rewatch it and have something I can grasp. It's something real, whereas if it's just digital and out there, and especially with these streaming services, you don't really own anything. She goes on to say, owning your own days or a new edition of The Cut gives you autonomy over the media library you curate. It also feels very different when you see the media you consume if you can lay it out on a table. It becomes tangible, and patterns are easier to spot about what genres or topics you lean towards more. It's more fun. So again, this goes also kind of into where was it that I saw this? I saw this video, I don't know if it was yesterday on YouTube. Again, I'll link all of it in the description box. But I saw this video of someone talking about creating your own algorithm. So she would just choose beforehand, like for the month, a list of sources and texts or videos. I think it was mainly videos because I think she did it specifically for YouTube, instead of just going along with the algorithm. So she was basically, again, creating her own algorithm. I think being selective is important in modern age, especially with the information that you consume on a daily basis. Now, my last point I wanted to touch upon is come up with ideas for a screenplay. I think that was a goal of mine like 2 years ago, where I was like, I'm gonna write a screenplay. And then I didn't do anything. This year I signed up for, I already tried to sign up last semester. This semester I was like, once the registrations were open, I signed up for an optional class, which is kind of a hobby because I don't get graded on it, where we are going to create a short film, and I'm so excited for it. So either way, I will be, I guess, writing a screenplay one way or another. But yeah, I don't know, I think what inspired me a lot was reading all those well, actually I haven't read that many fanfics, but reading those few fanfics that I've read in the short span of a few days, and just thinking to myself, wow, this might be fanfic, but it's written so well. Like, the amount of words that I've never heard of in my entire life, I was like astonished with the quality of fanfic, honestly. Insane. And another point that I didn't really put in my list, because it's something that I will probably get to more during summer, I suppose, because now, again, with my second semester starting in like 2 weeks, I won't have time for this, but there have been a lot of videos online on this topic, which is creating your own curriculum, and I think that's an amazing idea. Like, if you have the time and resources, you should definitely try doing that for yourself. I've researched a few websites for free online courses that I think are really great, and I will link them down below in case you're interested. So I wanted to show you a few examples of media that I want to consume, mostly like CDs and books. I do have a TBR, but these are just books that I bought recently, and I really want to read this year. So we have 3 here. We talked about this in my literature class, actually. I thought it sounded depressing, which is why I bought it. I love depressing literature, what can I say? And it is The Sorrows of Young Werther, I think is the English title, but the German one is just Die Leiden des jungen Werther by Goethe. And I found this reclam version at Giuseppe, and I got it. I have a few French books, but I don't really read French books. I really should, to improve my vocab. I'm just lazy, okay? I saw this book, I came across this book, I think on Pinterest or something. Then I found out that it was actually French, so I bought it in French. And that is Dans le café de la jeunesse perdue. I will put the English title on the screen. I don't know if it's like the Cafe of the Lost Youth or something. I don't know. And my last one, which I got I think 2 weeks ago. I was planning on reading Crime and Punishment this year. I don't know if I will, but because I came across this one, the Karamazov brothers. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but I came across this one at Giuseppe, and I was like, you know what? Maybe this is a sign. Maybe I should just start with this one instead. I read White Nights by Dostoevsky, and I fell in love. So I'm gonna try to give it a go. Again, it's pretty thick. I don't do well with thick books, but we'll see. From the video that I saw on making your life more analog, the girl talked about choosing like a CD for your day, and I thought that concept was pretty cute. So we have a few CDs that I got recently. We have The Cure, Jeff Buckley. I'm getting more into the Smiths. Like if there is a CD that I've listened to the most the past 3 months, I would say Kate Bush. I want to get the Hounds of Love CD, but I haven't found that one. So we have Fleetwood Mac, The Cranberries. Love the Cranberries. Even if you don't necessarily use CDs to listen to music, you can do that as well for Spotify. You've heard me ramble for I don't know how long, but I really wanted to end this video with introducing the idea I had for a film club. So if you've been around for this long, you know that I'm obsessed with cinema and I love learning about the film industry. So I thought it would be a great idea to expand that knowledge and to actually have, you know, I guess community to talk about movies. And I guess one of the main reasons why I wanted to start a film club is because there are so many like classics that I haven't watched yet, but that I literally sometimes need to force myself to watch. And I thought it would be easier if I had kind of a reason other than just, oh, they're classics, you should watch them. So I wanted to have another reason to watch more movies, and I thought it would be interesting to do that as like a collective group effort. And I came up with this system, with this idea of choosing 4 movies per month. I thought 4 was a good number, not too many, not too little. So I thought 4 would be pretty doable, I guess. So the plan for the film club is to choose 4 movies depending on either a genre or a specific theme, maybe a specific director or actor, actress, a specific decade of cinema, or a year in particular, where there were a lot of great movies, and then just choose movies from, you know, from that year. So I'm pretty open to what movies should be selected for each month for the film club. So in case you have any ideas or suggestions, you can leave a comment. The goal of this whole thing is basically to inspire you to watch more movies, but also older movies, and to just learn more about cinema, because essentially every month I'm going to post a video where I will be discussing the movies that we watched for the month. And if there are behind the scenes of a movie that I find really interesting or worthy of discussion, I will focus on that. If not, I will try to share more resources on how to learn more about cinema and just the industry in general, like websites, YouTube channels, and stuff like that. Yeah, but the goal ultimately is to collectively expand our cultural knowledge, which again is one of my goals for this year. So for January, I was thinking of maybe potentially choosing possible Oscar nominations, like movies that could be nominated for Oscars, but I haven't seen that many like movies at all that came out last year. So I thought, you know what, why not start with love for cinema as a topic in general. So I had this idea for this month we could take a look at movies that essentially are about movies, movie making, passion for cinema, love for directing, stuff like that. And I have a mix of older and newer movies. 2 of them I've already seen. So the first one is The Fabelmans that came out in 2022, directed by Steven Spielberg. You will, like, with time, you will realize that I'm a big Steven Spielberg fan, and this movie in particular, I loved watching this. This was like one of my favorites of 2022. Another movie that I want us to watch is Cinema Paradiso, which came out in 1988, directed by Giuseppe Tornatore. So it's an Italian movie. The next one is Fabelmans, also came out in 2022, directed by Damien Chazelle. That's how you pronounce it. Long ass movie, but totally worth it, honestly. I don't think I was bored at all throughout the entire movie. So yeah, these are the two that I've seen, Fabelmans and Babylon. The other two I haven't. So the last one is Singing in the Rain, that came out in 1952. So again, a more older one, considered a classic, directed by Stanley, Donen, and Gene Kelly. I think that's how I pronounce it. For the future, I will try to always mix it up, so have, you know, at least one, I guess, modern movie. So even for those of you who don't like to watch older movies, you still have at least one more newer one. But I think it's important to watch all movies to completely understand the new ones, the modern ones. Okay, another aspect that I wanted to touch upon just briefly before I end this video is how can I watch these movies? You know, you either have obviously streaming services. If it's not on a streaming service, you can try to maybe find a DVD secondhand. Especially if you're already collecting DVDs, that's a great way to watch it. However, coming from a DVD collector myself, I know that it's hard to find specific DVDs, like specific movies that you want at a thrift store. So in that case, you can always just look in your local library if they have the movie, or if you're a student, you can go to your university library. And there's also this university media platform that you can access if you're a student. I don't know if it works in other countries as well, but at least in France you have this website. If you're a university student, you have access to Arte. I'm gonna show you. Okay, so if you go to your university library website, here you can see mine. You can enter in the search bar either Arte, but if I search that, I don't know if I find it right away. Yes, okay. You have to type Arte Mediathèque, not just Arte, and you should be able to find this link right here at the top. Then you're gonna click on it, and that should bring you to a new website, which is where the media platform is. If you're not logged in already, you will have to log in, and then you'll be able to watch movies for free. Now, the system here is specific for this website that you have to, I think you have like 6 credits per month, and each movie has a credit. So some movies have maybe 2 or 3, depends. And if you watch, for example, 6 movies with each 1 credit, you can watch 6 movies. If you watch a movie that has 2 credits, you will only be able to watch, I don't know, maybe 4 or 3 movies that month. Does that make sense? Yeah, but this is a great way to make use of your resources, especially as a student. Again, I don't know if this works for other universities as well. You might want to ask your university library, but if you're a French student, there you go. Thank you for watching. Again, if you have any ideas for the film club, for movies that you want me to integrate for the next month or just future months, let me know. I'm pretty open to it. And yeah, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and see you in the next one.